Hello, fellow travelers of the world, and welcome to my peaceful abroad. How do you say that? Never mind. Once again, we begin this daily ritual of bullshit. Join me as I speak of one of your great leaders, Bill Clinton, and why he sucked humongous cock. So let's get on with this. Yeah, Bill Clinton is well, first of all, I'll be honest with you, I almost don't even like stalking this guy, just because he is such a cartoon character. And honestly, I at one time actually liked Bill Clinton too, much like I'm sure plenty of you still like him. But if you know any damn thing about him, he's the same as his wife. He's a massive crook. He's a pervert. Actually, he's more perverted than he is crooked. That's a rare exception. He found something he's better at than being a crook. But the point is, he's a con artist. He's and I'm going to go into detail. Don't worry. But he is a president worse than Trump. And I want to fucking bring you back to the main primary point of this video. This is not to promote Trump. This is not to be critical of Trump. For once, this is not so much about Trump. This is about the freaking idiots in the Democratic Party, real liberals, some of them real liberals. Not all of them are social justice asshats. Not all of them are Antifa. Not all of them are radical feminists. Some of these are liberals and people in the Democratic Party and or have left the Democratic Party in independents who may be critical of Trump for any number of reasons, immigration, so forth. And many of these people are against circumcision, the same way I am. Many of these people support gay LGBTQ rights and transgender people and gay people. They're against war. They don't want more wars. They want fucking peace in the Middle East. They're tired of wasting money in these damn wars. They want to let a lot of the criminals out of prison that should not be in there, that are non-violent. And these are good people, but they have been sucked into this lie that Trump is the fucking worst thing ever. Trump is like the Antichrist. If you don't fucking oppose Trump, you're an asshole. Everything Trump does is bad. Meanwhile, was Trump in the fucking White House 4 or 5 fucking years ago when Syria was on fire? You had ISIL taking everything over. Was he in the White House, 11 years ago when the economy collapsed? Was he in the White House back in 2003, however many years that had been, at the beginning of the year when we invaded without congressional approval under George Cocksucker Bush? We invaded Iraq. No, he wasn't in the fucking White House, was he? Was he in the White House under 9/11 happened? No. The point being is this. Even if Trump is bad, even if, let's say he was the worst president ever, and he's not even close, like I said, and there's no reason to believe he is, but even if he was, acting as if though taking him out is going to solve the systematic and systemic problems this country faces and has, it's ridiculous, because it's not going to solve a damn thing. They're just put in another fucking spoke on the wheel. It'll be the same damn thing, another cog in the machine, and it'll be all over again, except worse. And whatever Trump is doing that is good, like helping get us out of Syria, beating ISIL in Iraq, taking us out of Iraq, trying to make a deal with Russia, making this deal with North Korea, supporting your Second Amendment rights, anything good or any of the good that Trump has done, they're not going to do. So just remember that the next time you want to shit on Trump and act like everything is him. Not everything is about Trump. And maybe you should really broaden your focus and look at things in a bigger way and look at the bigger picture. But this is going to be on Bill fucking Clinton. And first, I want to start with this because I don't know how long, because this isn't really part of his presidential legacy because he wasn't president at the time. And, this is a lesser chapter in his presidency. I'm not sure how much he had to do with this. But I do want to go into talking about male genital mutilation and circumcision and his role in that, and the role of his wife probably, and his bullshit foundation, the Clinton Foundation. And I want to go into talking about that, and I'm going to talk about that now. But I want to talk about this, and it's and it just goes back. I'll tell you that in a minute. Let's get to the point. Bill Clinton back in 2006, I think it was August of 2006, somewhere around August 1st or somewhere in there in 2006, he pretty much promoted circumcision. He promoted male genital mutilation as a cure for AIDS. And that sounds absolutely ridiculous now for anyone that knows any damn thing about male genital mutilation. So again, it's bullshit. And he talked about trial studies proving it and things like that. When in actuality, they have all since then, and some of it before then, have been disproven and proven incorrect, and that circumcision does not have any real benefit. And some of these studies go back to 1999 when I think it was what was it, the American Pediatric Society or something. Their policy on circumcision back then was even more liberal and anti-genital mutilation than it is now. They said that they recommended against doing it. Now they don't recommend either way, but they still say that the benefits are not significant enough to recommend doing it. But at that time, they were actually recommending not doing it. So he's promoting this shit, knowing that's not true, and knowing that it does not, in any way, actually help prevent AIDS. So I'm gonna leave it at that. And of course, by the way, Hillary Clinton is a big feminist who doesn't really care about that, by the way. She's met with all these people. She doesn't give a rat's ass. But they're supposed to be against female genital mutilation, female circumcision. But if you know anything, and maybe not so much in Africa, where some of that is going on, and this anti-AIDS thing was in Africa, but if there was any benefit to male circumcision and there is not, then logic will tell you that the same would apply to female genital mutilation. Then logic would tell you the same would apply to female genital mutilation. Fuck you. The point is, if there was any logic or truth to this, then the same would apply probably to female genital mutilation when and where only the clitoral hood is snipped and or removed. Because that would do the same thing male circumcision would it not? And in many parts of the world, probably the majority of the cases of this, is very similar to in or less invasive to male circumcision. But of course, no female should ever be circumcised for the same reason no male should be, because no one should be. Okay, no female should be, because no one should be, because it's a human rights violation unless the person is consenting. Now, if you want to talk about getting adults to do this, and this was an adult situation, even if it was a situation where perhaps they were being lied to, in or tricked, or being pressured into it, that the adult chooses to, then that's totally on them, whether it's male, female, or anyone else. But when you're talking about in regards to children, and you know children are getting caught up in this and involved in this, now you're bullshitting us all, and you're fucking with the kids, and I don't support that. But we'll leave it at that. But speaking of someone who probably fucked with kids, let's get back to Bill Clinton. Now that that's out of the way, it took long enough. Obviously, I'm going to talk about the sexual misconduct allegations he was accused of misconduct by 4 women. Once in 1978, again in 1980, where a woman, perhaps you've heard of her, it's been a long time ago, but she was, for some reason, very more remembered than some of these people, but Paula Jones accused him of flashing her, and another woman accused him of groping her in 1983. And of course, those are rape allegations. That's a lot more significant than what he was accused of later on, where he was accused of fucking Monica Lewinsky. And in that case, I, like the majority of you, don't care about what he did with Lewinsky because that was consensual. And I don't care where he fucked her, if he fucked her in the Oval Office or not. That's his problem. That's between him and Hillary, and I don't give a shit. But as regards to the earlier allegations made against him, those are sexual assault and harassment allegations. And if he did that, and you could prove that, then he should probably be in jail, even though it was a long time ago. You know, they were going to probably put Kavanaugh in jail. They put Cosby in jail. Why not this fucker? So, you know, and I love how he's promoting genital mutilation of children. Given some of the shit this guy's accused of, it's incredible they haven't fucked up his junk more than it is. You know, maybe they should take some tips from one of that chick that stabbed her boyfriend in the crotch, and, you know, the next time he tries to fucking bang one of these chicks. The point is, of course, you know, they do that now in Alabama. They're castrating pedophiles, as I talked about. And like I said, I'm sure none of them are rich. None of them have money. And once you take that into consideration, you understand why they're doing that, why rich people are never brought up in charges for this type of shit, and why no rich person seems secure about this. Because like Epstein, they get off the fucking hook and nothing ever happens to them, or if anything does happen to them, it's going to be far less than the rest of us. And they know that. And Epstein Island, by the way, while we're talking about or we're discussing sexual harassment charges, he has been known to frequent Epstein Island, and he would take, as I said before, he would often take a private jet, I'm sure paid for by taxpayer money, while being president, to go to this fucking island where Epstein was at, that was engaging in pedophilic activity and sex with underage girls. Though I will say, I'm not saying he did anything. I don't know what he did, but involving, underage girls. But if he did do anything, I would see him more as the kind of guy that would probably do something perverted with a underage girl, but certainly not a child. I don't think he's the kind of guy that would screw a kid. I just don't see that, but maybe I'm wrong. But who knows what he did. But I would be more worried about him doing that because I could kind of see that happening more easily. Not to even say one is worse than the other because I don't feel like going to arguing about that. But I just see him doing that more. But either way, they were children on that island being screwed, and he did go there. So make of that what you will. But yeah, I mean, this guy, and as we know, the guy's a pervert. He'll fuck anything. He's probably humping air now. I mean, that's the way the guy is. So who the fuck knows what he did? But he did that, and of course, the shit with Lewinsky, the shit with Monica Lewinsky. And by the way, she said for I think 20 to 30 years, what has it been, over 20 years now, that it wasn't, that was not, or it wasn't, or she doesn't consider that rape. It was consensual. Then you have the feminists come out. And after 20-something years, she starts trying to say that, well, I do feel like I was violated. There was a power imbalance, and maybe it wasn't so consensual. I think you would know if it was consent or not. I mean, rape is a pretty straightforward thing here, And this is more feminist nonsense. He didn't rape Lewinsky. I don't know about the other women. He didn't hurt her. She said he didn't hurt her for years. And it's pretty much he wants back in the news now, so, he's a rapist all of a sudden. Whatever. On that, I'll defend Clinton, even though I don't like the guy. I'll give him a little bit of a fucking helping hand there. The guy didn't rape anyone, he didn't. Let's see, more serious shit that he's accused of actually is, warfare and destruction and death on an epic level. Not compared to Bushy or Obama, but Obama. But he also caused quite a bit of destruction. Bill Clinton bombed Iraq from December 16th to December 18th. That was something he did. That's correct. That is correct. Same weapons of mass destruction bullshit. The same thing we found out he did not have when we invaded in 2003 rather, and going into 2004 in that election. And I think Bush, I would imagine from what I remember, he was not yet discovered to have been lying about the weapons of mass destruction rather. But had he still be Kerry in the election, then what the hell this country are thinking, I have no idea. Because I think by 2004, it is pretty well known there was no weapons of mass destruction. There wasn't. And there wasn't, there was no weapons of mass destruction. And I remember in Bowling for Columbine, Marilyn Manson doing an interview about the Columbine murders. And he was talking about the day before, the night before, whatever it was, the Columbine murders happened. Bill Clinton dropped more bombs, I think, into Iraq. 1 minute. I think Bill Clinton dropped more bombs into Iraq than at any other point in years. So, and there was something about Russia one time. I forget what it was, but it had gone wrong. Had he fucked that up any worse than he did, he would not have been a peacetime president. Had he fucked that up, he would not have been a peacetime president, and they would be calling it the Red Square for an entirely different reason. It's in blood. And we probably would have been in a war with them, and not a Cold War, I mean a legit war. Or at the very least, the communists would have been back in charge of running shit, at the very least. So there's that. And I don't know the details on that, but I've heard about that before. But he fucked up a bunch of shit. Let's see what else he did. You've heard of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. That was under Clinton. That was probably an improvement to what it was, where they just didn't let gay people in. Now it's like, if you want to be in, you just won't tell us. And that isn't too bad of a deal, by the way. I mean, if I was a gay guy, I'd be like, hell, shit, I want in, I can get in. I want out, I can get out. That actually works. But the point is, he still didn't support letting openly gay people serve in the military. And not only that, you see further proof of his homophobia and the reason for why that law was a thing in the next thing I'm going to talk about, and that is the Defense of Marriage Act, the Bill Clinton that was brought forth by a lot of Republicans, some Democrats, and signed into law by him. And this is supposedly your liberal Democratic president. And of course, we all saw Hillary Clinton campaigning once with a Confederate soldier costume with a Confederate flag, and we saw the Clinton board posters with the Confederate flag on it and all this other god awful bullshit that they were promoting to try to get the Southerners and these red state idiots to vote for them. But beyond that, the Defense of Marriage Act was pretty much the federal government only recognized a male and a female as a legitimate union, as opposed to two consenting adults who love each other. It's no longer that, or that's not good enough. Now, no, only a man and a woman can engage in a marriage or have a marriage together. So that's actually very homophobic and anti-gay, and Clinton was the one that signed that. So again, homophobia, to say the least, could have done more to help the gay community. Hillary Clinton at one time, of course, opposed gay marriages, did Obama at one time, and I'll go get around to Obama eventually. But first I talk about the creme de la creme, however you say it. I talk about the marquee, the main event of stupid presidents, George W. Bush. And I want to do that, but right now let's stick to this guy. But again, anti-gay. Let's see. And let's see what else he did. Oh yeah. And again, I'm about to talk about more controversial issues that I'm sure the right wing would be more open to, though I don't really care. But and this isn't about who you want to sit down and have a beer with or smoke a joint with. And despite my usually more hippie self, I think it's pretty obvious what one I do the most of. I'm mostly a fucking alcoholic, so it's not who you want to sit down and have a drink with. It's who you want to or smoke a joint with or do anything else with. It's who is correct, right, and or who is wrong. And in this case, Ruby Ridge was a situation where a guy brought guns, and a person who was a conspiracy nut, but probably would have been a rather nonviolent individual, who was a right-wing guy, who was a racist, a religious fundamentalist rack job, but the guy was minding his business, pretty much. And there's a movie made about it on Lifetime and everything else, and they sold him guns that they said were legal. They pretty much framed him for breaking the law. He didn't know he's breaking the law, I don't think, from my understanding. They kill his dog, then they kill his son, they kill his wife. They tried to accuse him of killing them. He didn't. Pretty much fucked up his entire house area, everything, arrested him after a several-day standoff at a compound that was pretty much a cabin in the middle of nowhere that he lived at. And that all happened, I believe, I don't think this was George H.W. Bush. This happened under Clinton, I believe. So this was a horrific incident, and his daughter was pretty much even tried to say that he was having sex with his daughter, I think, at one point, and she was obviously angry by this. And he ended up suing the state because he was arrested but found innocent for pretty much of all charges, and no one wanted to prosecute the guy. So, he ended up suing the state and won. And that happened under Clinton and the ATF doing that shit, the military being brought in pretty much, federalized deputies, the feds. And then you had RACO, where regardless of what you think of RACO, and Bill Hicks does a kind of journalistic, I use that lightly, thing. It's very funny, and Bill Hicks is always funny, but he talks about RACO. And of course they shot rockets and shit at RACO and burnt everyone alive in the compound alive, including children. So that's Bill Clinton. I wanted to go into other details, but I don't want this to go past the 20-minute mark because I'm not sure if the video will take if you do that, so I'm going to end it here. But that's my view of Bill Clinton, and that was it. Yet another president worse than fucking Trump. Join me next time where I talk about the biggest idiot in history, George W. Bush.